Do we know what webpage we want to start on? I just got Knife News as the default here, so.
Yeah, that's okay for now.
Okay.
I don't even know. There's the tomahawk thing. Good for them. Good for them. And their tomahawks.
I haven't actually taken a look at that yet.
What homepage should I? Oh wait, there's an article I should read on that page. That was nice, Joe.
Dude.
We're talking about some knife news. Hey, wait, I should read about some knife news here for a second while we're waiting.
It's not a bad idea. I mean,
but yeah, they made a keychain model.
Oh, the GECs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, those knives are way more like. Volatile isn't the right word, but they sell out super quick every time there's a drop.
Yep.
Any GEC drop. Well, it depends on which ones they are.
Some are worse than others. They're all bad.
Yeah, and they all none of them.
But even the weird
slowly. But
no, even the weird shit usually sells out within like a day or two. And by weird shit,
if it's a repeated model and things like that, then you'll get some boring handles left and things like that. That's some of the white bones and stuff are usually the last ones to go. Some of the colored bones don't go quite as quick. Yeah.
Interesting.
Usually the woods and the antlers and stuff are.
I can see bone that doesn't match very well.
Yeah. Well, I think that's more it. Like the mismatched or the yellow streak going through a white bone or something. It's just not pure like type of idea.
Do they
upload?
Did they upload pictures of individual knives, or is it just like, here's your stock photo, you're going to get something approximately like this?
I don't honestly know. I haven't been there live for a drop. I've only looked at resale GCs for the most part, right?
Okay.
So, yeah. And most of the ones I actually try to look at are like micarta handled ones because they're slightly less money normally than...
And it's micarta, so of course you're going to be somewhat interested. Yeah.
And they look good.
Not saying they don't.
The funny thing is I don't have a GEC with a micarta handle. I've got
have a GEC with a micarta handle.
I've got a GEC with rosewood, and I've got a GEC with bouncy ball glow in the dark. No, it doesn't bounce. I wish it bounced.
Like made of that bouncy ball material.
Yeah. But my Northwoods, on the other hand, that's some micarta goodness right there. So.
Indeed.
It kind of counts, I guess, right?
Yeah, a little.
Quick shout. What are y'all carrying? Ben, what are you carrying?
How's it going, Ben?
YouTube notification, damn straight. Click that notify button.
What he said.
The ding bell. I can go. It's for I think the third week straight. It's the Crossbones limited edition. This knife has broken in nicely. It actually has a good action now. It had an okay action before. Now it's good. I reprofiled the edge to 20 degrees because the 30 degrees that they had per side was just not great.
30 per side, you says?
Yeah, it was close. It was somewhere between like 28 and 30.
Well, that's what happens when you get some sweet Italian manufacturing right there.
It's a hockey skate.
Yeah, but this is good. For the record, it does seem to actually be M390. It doesn't rust up super easy like the last kerfuffle. I'll never forgive that because that was a limited I was actually super excited for. The Hootenanny. They said it was S35 or S30 or something, and then everyone's would just turn to rust.
Yeah. I think it was supposed to be an S35 if I remember, and like a bluey carbon fiber or a blue something handle.
Yeah, kind of fancy stuff. I was super excited for that. I love that knife design.
It wasn't any of those things.
Ben's carrying the Tim Hortons, the Boston Cream, and a Bestech Grampus. I like the Grampus. I like the Grampus name.
Carry.
I wish they put the D2 in it rather than 1227, if I remember correctly. But it's still a nice knife.
They do have a D2 variant.
Oh, do they now?
14's better.
In green.
Oh, maybe it is that one. Maybe I'm thinking of another one that's 1227. Anyway.
It's a good looking knife.
That doesn't look bad. Yeah.
I like the checkering or whatever in the handle. Yeah.
Yeah. Or yeah.
It looks like a flippery version of the Montosa a little bit.
A little bit.
Or the Rogers design, right? So
it looks like it was designed by Lion Steel.
I'm honestly not sure how I feel about that lanyard, Pokey glass breaker skull crusher pommel thing on there. How was that, Ben? Like, did you find it? I mean, you're carrying it, so I guess it doesn't get in the way all that much. But
I can't talk about the effectiveness of crushing skulls on YouTube, Joe. Like,
that's not necessarily what I'm asking about. But I mean, if that's the information that comes forward, hey, we've learned something new about Ben today.
Apparently, it kills pockets.
It looks like it might.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you care, Paul? Or you want to go last?
Oh, I'll go.
All right.
First, I want to give a quick shout out to Black Frost in chat. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, man.
He's 308, ZT 308.
Nice.
It's a big old friggin' knife. I'm carrying the Spydero PPT.
That's a good mix-up. Yeah,
it's been a while. And it feels good to be back. And I've never sharpened this knife, and I have used this knife a lot.
That would be actually that flat grind on that PPT with S90.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's in the slicey category. It's kind of like my native, the carbon fiber native. Joe, I don't know if you can attest to that as well. Yeah,
I
for sure.
certainly can. I was actually holding the PPT today. I was at work. I was like, this might be thinner than the native, but if it is, it's not by much. And I actually went over to the shelf and checked. I'm like, no, those are basically the same cutting geometries. It's a nice way to go. I think I actually prefer the PPT blade shape a little bit more over the leaf shape blade, but there is something to be said for continuous belly like that.
Yeah, I've done a lot of stropping. I shouldn't say I'm not trying to say I didn't do anything to this knife. But with a nice coarse stropping compound, it gets such a toothy edge. It's awesome.
It's kind of funny too. If you look close at the edge of Paul's knife there, I don't know if it will ever show on camera, but it's very.
Just see my scars.
Yeah, it's brightly burnished, and you can still see the original grind lines in between the polish. You've not really taken a stone to that thing ever.
No.
And Ben is clarifying actually that no, it's not that pokey, but ching. But it's apparently the handle material that kills the pocket on the Grampus, not the pokey. He's thinking about grinding that thing off.
Due to how useless it is.
It does kind of look like a shark fin. Not gonna lie.
If that new thing that Fisk has got going on with submerge your shit hashtag with throwing knives in the water, you just do a little drive-by thing with the fin on that best tack, call Fisk out on it. I'm telling you, Ben, that's some fun shit right there.
I'm gonna go and ask the pet store in the mall a very
weird question.
Need a fish tank for just 1 second.
Just can I reach my hand elbow deep into your fish tank just for 3 seconds?
I promise I won't stab any fish, or at least I won't mean to.
Do you have a back room fish tank that I can use?
That Kaiser shark is going to be a perfect knife to drop into the water.
The Kaiser knife is nowhere near a perfect knife.
How dare you?
Pretty easily.
I'm going to sell everything else in my collection and just keep that.
He's got you there. You're going to go minimalist with the worst knife ever.
Paul.
Carry it as a neck knife like you are right now, but just the shark. You got
That's exactly what I
the Flavor Flav clock going on.
It's like neck knifing a slip joint. This is the worst thing you can do. Just don't do it. I shouldn't have said that because now you're going to find a way to do it.
I'm going to find a way to do it.
It reminds me of the guys who do the Kydex belt sheaths for their Spydero police, which is just too big of a knife for a folder to put in the Kydex. That always blows my mind.
Hey man, don't tempt me.
And Fisk, thanks for joining us.
Hey. That happens more often.
I guess last but not least, I was carrying my Dragonfly again. Nice. I love the Dragonfly. Jeez, man.
You're getting some mileage out of it. That's good.
If you look at the edge, I know check the cool scar, but you can also check a sweet reflection. And yes, it's S30V because I blade swapped it and mirror polishing S30 and blah, blah, blah. But I wanted it pretty. So I made it pretty.
Why not?
I'll touch it up a little more often. It's it's thin enough. It doesn't matter what kind of grind is on it. Honestly, it's
the slicey little knife, man.
It doesn't matter what polish you put on it, as long as you actually apex the edge. It's just like cool, good to go.
Thin blade stock on small knives is always like a kind of a nice thing. But on the other end of the spectrum, the mini pocket rocket also exists, and I like it for the exact opposite reasons. So
I got that little son of a bitch somewhere. I don't know. I'll dig it out if I have to, but yeah.
I love that stupid thing. Let's see, Fisk, what you carrying? Unless he's already said and I just missed the message.
You should click onto something other than this Best at Grampus that we're probably not going to talk about. I'm just saying. The competitor's website, cuttingedgecutleryco.com, you sons of bitches. Hey, I'll give a plug while we're on an opposing team for
maybe one
competitor's website.
Maybe one day we'll carry Best Deck. Maybe we won't. Who's to say?
We're going to have some online-only business coming. That's what we're going to have. So some serious business going on the online-only stores. That's for sure. But
okay.
Anyway, don't worry about it.
Just sprinkling secrets here and there. I like that.
Oh, that's my job. Yeah, it's my job. Literally, that's what I get paid for.
Excellent. Yeah. So, I mean, American Tomahawk Company drops it. So is this run by Lynn Thompson? Is this
No.
Or am I thinking of something else?
Yes, but no. So
you had this conversation this week, Dennis.
We sure did. Yeah. The American Tomahawk Company is its own independent company that makes tomahawks for Cold Steel. But
okay,
gotcha. Cold Steel doesn't really have, to my knowledge, very many of their own Cold Steel factories. They almost outsource everything. An example I used was most of the Carbon V, Carbon 5, whatever you want to call it, stuff was made in the Camillus factory. USA made, but by Camillus. So,
right. Okay.
Yeah, stuff like that. So when it comes to all their other stuff, their Norse Hawk, the Spike Hawk, the blah, blah, blahs, the Trail Boss that I absolutely love. Yeah, all made by the American Tomahawk Company.
That's actually super interesting because I've never really bothered to research exactly where that went. Yeah.
I don't know how that's changed throughout the years, and especially with the new acquisition. And maybe they're starting up their own something.
I would. They're not. Obscure knowledge is going to be the theme of the night.
Obscure knowledge. Yeah, maybe.
I got a bag of tricks with that obscure knowledge stuff. Yeah. So, Nick Richards, thanks for joining us, man.
Indeed. Hey, man. What do you carry tonight?
Sabenza small and red micarta. That's a good looking knife you got there.
I don't know if I've ever seen the red micarta mini.
It's a good looking micarta. It's what the Benchmade proper should have been instead of cheaping out with G10. Yeah, it's a true story.
100%.
Just digging for. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot more than I feel I should.
And that one that you just clicked on, the down second row in the middle. Yeah, for sure. That nice deep red after you get some wear on it.
Yeah, that's a punchy, nice red. That doesn't even look like it's completely saturated with hand oil yet. My goodness. Well,
let me get my hands on it.
Yeah, no shit, hey. I've always liked the pattern on their inlays, like the dual, not dual layer, but the bisected handle. Yeah, I like that. That's really cool.
Well, you can't get it anymore unless you know a guy who knows Mr. Fisk, or you just suck it up and don't get any onlay and plain Jane it up.
Yeah. So this is a tangent comment, but if I can get like maroon dye, I might make that X that I want to buy maroon instead of purple.
I'm not going to say that's the wrong choice, but if purple's a choice and you choose anything else, you've chosen poorly.
It's my favorite color, but
you do you, man. You do you. That's me being as uncaring as I could possibly be.
Yeah.
Maroon micarta is really good looking stuff.
It can be. Yes, it sure can be.
Oh, fair enough.
Well, Fisk is giving away his secrets on where you can get some of the 21s.
Oh dear. Somebody got a Oh, yeah.
I almost asked a question I'm not going to ask.
It's probably for the best. I imagine.
It's usually for the best.
Yeah.
If you don't want your feelings hurt, you know.
Who wants to go first on the topic?
Not me. I went first last week.
Mine kind of branches off of Paul's, so I wanted to wait on that.
All right,
so.
I got a weird one that I'll just start the show with. I like weird, obscure knives, and we're going back to Boker. And it's not a good quality knife. It's just weird, and I wish they made a better quality knife.
What is it?
BokerUSA.com.
Is it the mermaid?
No. Can you
M390 mermaid?
S9.
It's an exclusive to Boker USA. It's American made by whoever makes their Patriot.
Oh, I would love that.
Wasn't ProTech making their autos?
No, it was Cobratech.
Cobratech, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, it's the Fragment. It's actually on their like strolling thing, but I found out about it, I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And it's a weird knife. It's slip joint with a ratchety looking pivot thing.
It's
ratchety looking pivot.
It's almost like wait. Okay, didn't somebody else make a slip joint with an exposed blade like this, like kind of like the Kiss style, but
potentially it could be like Panchenko stands out, but the like Black Foxy looking, the beans type of thing. But I think the beans are inside a handle, even so.
They are.
I don't think, but yeah. Anyway, either way.
Huh.
Yeah, weird knife. But one of the things that caught my eye, actually, with this, there was a couple things. But fourth picture in should be the blade steel and what it says.
9CR13 COMOV.
Yeah, so and then obviously on the materials on the side,
it's different. So okay, that's odd.
So I don't know if you guys have heard of 9CR13CO MOV.
I don't know. I mean, I'm reaching for my phone to bring up the Steel Chart app right now because
you really need to get the Steel Chart app on your desktop so you can just bring that up when it comes down to it.
I wonder if there is a Windows compatible version. I'll look into that after this, actually. Because that would be kind of... I mean, I know there's the browser-based version, but I hate how the web interface looks compared to the...
And Fisk is just naming knives where blades are exposed. The dog tag, the Kiss. There's technically the Peck, too.
Actually, you know what?
Smaller version of the Kiss.
The dog tag might be the one I was thinking of, but it doesn't use a back spring. It has like a liner lock style leaf spring that doesn't actually lock.
I'm sure I think there's been a bunch, but yeah.
Okay, so that isn't a typo. 9CR13COMOV is actually a blade steel that's apparently very similar to AUS 8A. That's interesting.
Read the next part, I believe.
Used in budget knives and scissors.
Okay, maybe that's not the one.
Okay.
Oh, no, okay, so it's aliases. The
aliases. Okay, so it's known aliases are 9CR13, 9CR13 MOV, and 9CR13 MOVCO. Okay, so it's all the same shit.
Click on 9CR13 MOV.
Yeah, it just says that it's a shortened name for...
So why Boker decided to throw a CO when no one's ever used the CO on there, but then on their specs they still say just 13 MOV.
To not confuse people, not to scare them or anything.
But on the blade, they're like, no. We have space. Let's put some extra letters in there that no one cares about just to confuse some shit.
For the really small cross section of scissor, like hardcore scissor users who would also like to purchase this knife, I don't know.
If there's one thing the knife community likes, it's extra shit all over the side.
Right?
Yeah, no doubt. Why don't you put it on both sides of the blade?
Yeah. Throw the name on there too for me. Why don't you?
Why would you laser etch it? Why wouldn't you just mill it into the side of the blade so you could never get rid of the fucking thing?
I'm going to start listing my steels on my knives by just putting the bar graph from the metallurgy on it, and you got to figure out what the fuck it is.
Dude, that's actually kind of a cool idea.
Steal it, Joe. It's all yours, brother. It's all yours.
But I wouldn't do it on the blade. I would do the Grimsmo thing inside the handle. Yeah, that's
because then you'd have space to do that bullshit. Yeah, do it on the liner. So on the inside of the liner. So it's not like if it was an access lock, you never know. The inside of the liner.
Oh, you'd have to take the entire knife apart, pop the scales. I was like, what the hell is this?
Because it's nerdy.
I kind of like that. It's so stupid.
I know. You're gonna like $25 extra for a knife. You're like, why? Hidden engraving. Like it's.
There's no engraving on this knife. You'll find it.
Look closer. Closelier.
Closer. Thank you, Joe.
That sounds about right, Joe. Kruben Fruber.
Kruben Fruber. Look closelier at the Kruben Fruber.
Might be my favorite new word.
I'm glad that struck a chord.
Yeah.
Okay,
so silly and fun and just weird and obscure, and I like finding weird and obscure, and it's just another one. You can get the red G10 or you can get just a stainless steel pivotty thing. Yeah.
The tip of the knife concerns me.
Oh, dude, that sweeps out. That's weird. Why does it do like an S curve?
To spite you.
Well, I don't hate it. It's just odd.
So
it's a choice.
It's definitely a design choice. The other thing I do like about it, though, is that is kind of like the perfect example of like someone who just wants to step up from a box cutter. It's something slim and minimal, and you normally are just like in a grocery store with a box cutter type of attitude, and you just want something slightly nicer that probably would, because it's slip joint, so it could open and close very casually as you're cutting something, and it doesn't have to be a crisp bleeded highlight, as I just saw someone pull out. I don't know, both you sons of bitches own one, so God, I couldn't even remember. Like, I just saw that. Yeah, good luck at like working at some sort of like.
Imagine,
I knew it.
Imagine this thing, but this size and fully serrated, and popping that out to open a tiny little envelope, and then getting back to your job at the grocery store. I'm sure you'd last there. I'm sure.
This is actually a half decent alternative to where concerns at a job site might be. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it's a decent enough price too. They're calling it for $55. I'm assuming. American, with the dollar sign, it's American. USA. Yeah.
It's
not bad.
To go back, you were saying that you just want to see a version of this that's worth what you would want to buy.
Yeah.
Kind of idea, like an upgraded version.
Yeah, something. LC200N with a like aluminum or titanium slab and just call a waterproof nothing knife, bare bones, bang. Yeah, something like that. It'd be fun. Oh,
I'm there. I have arrived.
The other, kind of a couple things before we jump to another topic. It says it's a slip joint, and we all know how awesome Boker is for their detent, so I hope there's a half stop. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm curious about that. Are there any...
is holding it closed. That could be a little bit of concern. Can you quadruple detent just to like be on the safe side?
It's like, so each detent is just super weak as it goes through? Although, I say that, but your Manly Wasp has a ton of detents. And it's a pretty...
Well, it's not a detent. There's stops. But anyway.
Stops, sorry. Yeah.
So, yeah. And one other thing that I kind of liked about this as well is when it said that it was the made-in part of this spec.
Made in Asia. Just the Asian area.
Maybe India. Maybe
I mean,
China.
it's probably more than one country, right? Like, it's probably parts G10s and blades.
You think? Do you really think that they'd be that non-specific to be that specific? Like,
I'm just throwing in some random example on
has the cheapest price for each individual component. It's amazing.
I mean, it's using a 9CR. That's a Chinese steel, right? So you'd assume China. It's weird to think that you would have a Chinese steel exported anywhere else for its manufacture to a finished product, right?
Okay, like, just for the record, though, I just clicked on a Quaken carbon fiber, exactly the one that Paul owns, and it also says Asia. And on your blade, it either says Taiwan or China. I can't remember because most of the plus stuff.
I think it says China.
Yeah. So apparently, that's just a glossed over term that.
Okay.
I'm wondering if
they put on their website
change.
What's that, sorry?
I wonder if that's a recent change with certain things going on in the world and a certain demographic of person that might be negative to certain places, maybe, or
without deep diving into politics, I think that could very easily be a mitigating factor for sure.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
It might just be they can gloss over Boker plus stuff with.
No. I like Bloker.
Bloker.
Bloker's but it's the Sheffield branch. It's Bloker.
What Mr. Fisk just said in chat.
Does it bear repeating?
Yeah. No, I think anyone who wants to handle that conversation can read it, and I think I personally agree with it. But anyway, yeah. So,
yes,
I like that though. I like that more than I should.
Yeah.
I gotta say that tip, as soon as you pointed it out, threw me off. But then I quickly got over it. Like, no, that's actually it's okay. It's not the worst thing I've seen.
I want to draw a face on it.
That stonewash is actually pretty attractive. I mean,
the
really.
Blackwash, or does it just say heavy stonewash? I think is what it says. Anyway,
did they Photoshop the red G10, or did they just use the same parts? I wonder. I always wonder about how they get to making these stock photos.
All right, that's my one. Someone else talks about some stuff. If anyone else wants to comment, but yeah, it's
just
weird and funky.
One super brief note: that's hollow ground and single beveled.
Yeah, I think they went like razor blade.
That makes me like this a lot more than I did a second ago, and I already kind of liked it.
So is it
I just got Joe to buy a knife.
It might happen.
Is it the G10 that acts against the spring? That second screw, is that what's going on there? That's how you get.
I think so.
Who knows? We could put a pin in that for next week and watch a YouTube video, or someone might have a disassembly or a close up or a picture where you can actually see better. But I don't think you can in any of these pictures right now. So we'll put a pin on that fragment and get back to you on that one.
Fair.
It's my topic. I can make that choice.
I'm actually making a note of it on my computer because otherwise I will forget. Okay. So Paul had a thing.
I do have a thing.
Yeah, let's do your thing.
Do we want to do the small thing and then the larger thing?
Yeah, because I think, again, the larger thing kind of leads into my nebulous thing that could either be a small thing or a big thing, so we should start with your small thing.
Indeed. You've got the photo?
I do. Well, I have it, but, like, where is the question?
That is a question.
Oh, I didn't mean to close that window earlier. That's so stupid. Okay, I have it here. You want me to throw it up?
Sure.
Alright. As you can tell from the corner there. This is a particular screen grab.
Indeed. It's not hard to tell whose video this is from. So it's a conversation about these little like G10 buttons that you can attach to the compression lock on a knife. So you can access it easier if you're left-handed or if you're right-handed. And
it's not the button that's hard to access as a lefty, it's the grip position.
This was the thing that I wanted to talk to you about today.
Anyway,
but let's let Paul. Yeah.
I'm going to rant about that if that's one of the buttons.
I was thinking it was a cool idea for lefties. I was saying to Joe that I feel like I could get more handle on the knife and access that button. Like I can do this and I access the button rather than trying to get into the lock. I can hold it in a different position.
Is the button flush with the other side of the scale?
It's flushed.
Yeah.
It's flush when it's closed, and when it's when the knife is open, it protrudes slightly, like very slightly.
Any concern about lock failure?
He tested it, and he was saying that he can introduce a mild amount of like up and down, but it wasn't enough to close his knives.
And he was saying that he was squeezing it.
Position.
Yeah,
okay.
He was saying he was gripping his shaman as hard as he could, and he could introduce a very slight amount of back and forth wiggle. So keep in mind Shabazz is like medium to small sized hand. I wonder how that would work with.
Talk about my small thing.
Well, Mr. Fisk could talk about Paul's small thing all he likes, and
it's a little tab that makes it easier for lefties.
Yeah, don't worry.
I don't know how to parse that. I'm just not going to think about it.
With your left hand, you can be a righty, still use your left.
Stranger Things.
I don't think.
The other thing as well is, yes, that's good and fine in this grip here, but people know that like when you're cutting stuff, sometimes you've got weird angles and weird grips that you might be indexing a knife and like whatever, like putting a thumb on the side, pinching, doing something.
Oh, even pull cuts.
Other than baseball bat gripping is what I'm saying, Joe. Like that's still, even reverse cut is kind of a baseball bat grip, but we all do kind of some funky grips sometimes when you're cutting stuff open that maybe won't be this grip in particular.
Yeah.
So yeah. And when it comes to field testing a knife, I sure trust Shabazz for that kind of feedback.
No, fair. I'm not. So the thing that caught me off guard wasn't this, because I figured I'm gonna just figure out how to get around that if I was to use it.
Yeah.
It was the mode of assembly that kind of stuck for me.
Yeah. Why don't you tell them?
Tell the world, Paul. Tell the world. You super glue it on.
Yeah.
That what you really just said.
So it's not okay. So Shabazz didn't really
I got a piece of cork in my kitchen. We're gonna fucking replicate this shit.
No kidding. Okay, so my big thought, the one thing that occurred to me was, is it keyed? Is there a little slit in the side of the G10 nubbin that allows for it to nestle in place with the glue, or is it just a flat surface on a flat surface, and you're just relying on the on the strength of the glue? Because if that's the case, Shabazz says it's been working fine for him, but he works at home right now. I'm thinking about, okay, and maybe this isn't a problem for everyone, but extreme hot and extreme cold in Calgary, you can go both. You can end up with both.
-40 will fuck with that glue. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, in the same year, -40, +40, like it can happen. So
just to throw aside to Fifth's comment here, my sodium levels, they're good and fine. I'm just brining. I'm in that stage at this point in time. We're gonna take us out in 20. We're gonna take us out in 24 hours. Have a good 16-hour smoke, and it's gonna be delicious. And you can refer to a 16-hour smoke however you want. So
I'm not sure what that means.
I know what it might mean, and I'm not going to touch it. So let's just continue. I don't know, and I think Shabazz summed it up pretty decently well. This is a product that maybe didn't need to happen, but it's kind of a neat thing that could happen. And for how cheap these things are, like he was going off about them being like $20 or $25 for a little piece of G10. I don't really know how they could be any less expensive aside from just injection molded plastic instead of G10, which honestly probably would be better. You'd be able to charge $12 and make way more money on it. But
yeah.
It's interesting.
It's
very interesting.
Yeah, and I honestly don't know how well this would work in I know the military doesn't have a compression lock, but the only compression lock I have already has a button installed, so whatever, this will do. On the PM2 when I was holding it, it felt weird. It already feels weird closing a knife with my left hand, but then going to do it pretending that there is a little cutout here, it feels strange. On the military it feels almost better because of how big the handle is, but on the PM2 it felt I don't know. It felt strange. I
don't think it would stop me from just still closing it like a lockback, like I have figured out how to do as a lefty with a compression lock. And I don't think this button is going to be a solution. Did he talk in the video about it being easier for lefties, or
as far as a hypothetical, he said he could see it being easier for lefties to use this button than to not have it. Now, I mean, I kind of agree, but to a very limited extent. I don't think that this is really a very good solution for left-handed people, just how awkward the thumb placement has to be for a compression lock.
You know what that solution is missing? A good salt ratio. For sure. It needs to be a little brinier. Yeah. A little more brine.
Just a touch more.
I want some pickled G10, please.
I don't like that. Is that just like jade green G10, but like slightly more pickle colored?
It was the Spydero bombshell.
You get a mill in the pickle bumps.
Close, Joe. I was close. Almost got a spit take there.
And the worst part is, I don't disagree. That knife looks like it's been pickled. Sorry, Calvin, if you're watching.
That was the best punchline there, right there. It's probably not even watching us tonight. That's cool.
Yeah.
should we get on to a big thing?
Yeah, let's talk about. I'm not going to say it, but sure, let's.
Should you get on to?
Oh, got it.
His big thing.
I'm just not gonna. All right,
I've not gonna. Just not gonna.
I've got the website ready, Paul. Whenever you're ready, yeah.
So this week, DBK, Dutch Bushcraft Guys. You know, that's their channel name, Dutch Bushcraft Guys.
Those Dutch Bushcraft Guys.
They did a knife review of the modern Bowie and the Cold Steel Trailmaster. And
in my giant pile of knives, take a drink, by the way. I don't have my big stuff, which includes my Trailmaster, and I don't know where this conversation was going tonight, or I would have brought mine. Anyway, continue on, son of a
bitch. You get no warning.
So there was speculation in the video about the potential of the two knives being made in the same factory, because while they're not identical, they are definitely very similar knives. And if you go to that website, Joe, Hattori Collector,
which is a website, if you're into knife history, you guys should definitely peruse on your own time, because it's full of good information.
This is kind of the quiet, unspoken story of how a lot of laminated modern steels came to be, right? So, yeah.
This is exactly it. Just do a quick scroll of the side there, just to show them all the different options, but you can scroll through and look at. We're not going to go through everything, obviously.
Calvin, shout out to Calvin. He is watching. Thanks for joining us, brother. Sorry we joined you in with the burn. Chef kiss. Sorry to derail you, but that deserved a call out.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah.
Indeed. Tonight, we're going to talk about the section called The Big Bowies.
So, I'm not going to...
Sure that's spelled with a W-I-E? It's not just an I, The Big Boys?
Big boy!
I mean, I kind of want it to be now.
So,
the Big Boys.
Before we go too much further, I just wanted to make note. Ichiro, as his name is pronounced, that we've gone over many times to make sure we're not mispronouncing. He's kind of notorious in the knife community. There was a period of time where a lot of stuff was being made in Japan, and a lot of it went through this guy's hands. We'll get into the hows and the whys later, but the Big Bowie, oh, there we go, the Trailmaster Thor modern Bowie. Yeah. This guy's been a huge part of American knife history, and a ton of I would say most knife guys don't really know much about him or what he's really contributed.
So part of the reason why I wanted to have the conversation about this tonight was to push people in this direction, because I think this information needs to be out there with more people, because it's neat as hell. And then the other part was to talk about the fact that, yeah, they look the same because they were made by the same guy.
I have some thoughts myself about the whole thing, and I'm sure me and Paul did kind of talk about the similarities, and especially the DBK video that came up with the comparisons, and the fact that they probably should have compared a Thor instead of the modern Bowie, because those two knives are much more similar than the actual modern Bowie is to the Trailmaster. So
if you scroll down a little bit, Joe, there's a picture comparing 5 or 6 different Bowies together. There's a couple Trailmasters, there's a Thor, there's 2 of the H160-1 or -2s.
That's the
originals.
But no modern Bowie in that particular picture.
No modern Bowie in that photo. There's one lower down that's a comparison to the Trailmaster.
Oh, really? They did actually put a comparison on this page as well. I didn't realize that.
So I think it should be loaded up now. It's the picture with 5 Bowies in it?
Correct, sure.
With a lanyard? Okay, cool.
So two, as far as I understand it, the 2 that have the fuller are the knives made by Hattori for his own line.
Number 1 and number 3, and when I say 3, I mean 3.
Of course.
That's M as in Mancy, for the record. It's
I don't remember which one is the -1 or the -2, but they're both H160 variants.
Yeah.
And as far as I understand, they were the original knives, and then you could go to him and go, I want to make a knife like that he would give you options as to steel thickness, handle material, things like that, and then he would make the knife for you.
They were made of H1.
No, that's the model number.
Okay. Sorry,
they were made of Oz 6.
Dude, if these guys were involved with Hanwei in some way, that would make a very interesting story. But I don't think that's the case.
Not HW.
H1
would have been the
H1. Right.
My bad. I'm just stupid. Anyway.
As far as I understand this photo, it's 1 and 3 are Oz 6. Number 2, the Trailmaster on the left, is Oz 8. The one on the right is VG1 San Mai. And then I think it's VG10 San Mai for the Odin. Oh, not the Odin, sorry, the Thor.
And is number 2 Oz 8? I thought it was Oz 6 as well. I could be wrong.
It doesn't quite say it here. Yeah. So there was something about San Mai originally being done with Oz 6 cladding with an Oz 8 core. I don't know if that's necessarily what this is.
No. I'm sorry, you are correct. This is this one's an Oz 8 blade because the Oz 6 blade has a different Ricasso area. They have pictures of it farther down in the...
Gotcha. There's so many versions of the Trailmaster, it's silly.
It's ridiculous.
And I like that history, and I can't even keep them straight. We were talking about bad memories earlier, but anyway.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I think if you scroll down far enough, you'll find the Oz 6 one. It's got a weird Ricasso. Actually, right there.
Oh, I may have skipped it. Is it the one with the red paper around the handle?
And the picture of the weird Ricasso?
Yeah, the one with the weird Ricasso.
Oh, with the
those pictures,
yeah. What the? Oh no, that's carbon 5. But what the fuck is going on? It's got like a sharpening choil, but then it's
carbon 5?
That was carbon 5. Excuse me. Okay,
well then, thanks for leading the show there, Paul. It's good stuff.
Oh man. There's a lot of versions. You said yourself.
There is a lot of versions.
Okay, but this is the Oz 6 blade, which also, to Paul's credit, does have a very fucked up looking Ricasso area. It has the same kind of fucked up Ricasso area. It's just...
There we go.
Okay, but the difference is the carbon 5 stuff had the brass guard. This has the steel or silver guard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And different font for Trailmaster.
Okay, so isn't the older version up here the same font they ended... No, never mind. That's different. I thought they switched out.
That particular version was in between like the 92 to 94 area, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Because I do remember some font changes, because there's so many counterfeits out there as well. Is that when you're looking at a Trailmaster, I also go back and look at all the goddamn counterfeits that are out there to see what the similarities are, because they've been making fakes since the 80s of these things. And so you've got a knife that's 40 or 50 years old that still isn't an actual cold steel or a Trailmaster. Like the Master Tantos are a perfect example of that.
It's probably worth more than a modern one.
They might perform better depending on where they were made, but it's...
Second time tonight, you nearly got me to spray.
I'm gonna get a spatter. That's what we're aiming for here. Like it's
So like Ichiro Hattori, prolific. He made knives for Kershaw. He made knives for SOG. He made knives for Cold Steel and for Fall Niven. And there's so many different versions, like Dennis is saying, so many different revisions that have happened over the years, and they're all based off of an American knife pattern made by a Japanese smith. I find that very interesting. Like
it's so good.
Okay, so on topic of the actual video itself,
right?
Comparing it, you said there was also a picture of the modern Bowie versus the Trailmaster.
Yeah, that's much farther down towards.
And that is actually very valid with the actual video. If you guys have watched that one, it's worth a good watch for sure. But like I said, the biggest thing that I had an issue with is the only reason that the modern Bowie ever beat it out is because of the COS steel and the edge performance and the blah, blah, blah. But fire sparking and batoning, and they were just like, pick one. They're awesome. And then they were like, no, but this one cuts rope way, way better because it's a steel. Now, the one thing I will dabble on is the modern Bowie, I believe, is actually slightly less money than the Thor. I think the Thor is actually a more expensive knife.
Well, it's got the leather stacked handle, right? It's inherently,
but even still, all that leather stacked series, the Odins, the Thors, I think there's a Freya, there's a whole bunch of them with
F1
Greek or Viking names. Sorry.
Okay. So this is, I had to restart Chrome because it crashed there, but There's
how many pages you got open right now? 116?
No, they're all. Actually, no, that's my Firefox, which is closed, so it's not eating up any RAM. It's okay. No, Chrome only has like 5 tabs open, so we're okay. That handle is significantly different, though. It does have that forward finger choil, but
and they said for chopping, that's why the modern Bowie 1 is because of the thicker handle.
So it's
the thinner handle was.
Go ahead.
Thinner handle was slightly better for like feather sticking and detail work because it gave them more control, right?
I've never found it to be much of a problem. I mean, this is a shorter blade given, but the Recon Scout has never been. I've never wanted a thicker handle for chopping. Maybe it's the way I'm holding the knife, but I've never found it to be a problem. Have you guys found there to be a real issue with wanting a choil here for chopping?
No, it's perfect.
Or do you think it's just them splitting hairs for the sake of being able to say one's slightly better than the other?
It's perfect.
Okay, fair enough. Paul's made his case.
Yeah.
I like stick handles, though. I mean, every time I see a Bowie with like a nice, just straight handle, coffin style or not, it feels good. You know?
And don't get me wrong, that modern Bowie is a sexy knife, and for probably the same price that you're paying for a 3V version. So I would be very interested in a callback to this episode when Cold Steel comes out with a 3V version, and all of a sudden they go.
Well,
which probably wouldn't change because I think COS will still outperform as far as cutting performance. I still think it'll outperform 3V. Yeah.
I don't know about that, really. What is COS?
3V doesn't blow you out of the water on edge retention for chopping.
What is COS most similar to in edge holding? I've never used it, so I don't have any.
It's
me neither, but
like a VG. It's like a cobalt steel, like VG10.
I would think 3V would outperform it then if it's going to be in that sort of ballpark.
Spy 27 is also a cobalt steel like that too, and it performs pretty damn well. So I'm not trying to say shit about cobalt steels.
Okay.
And I believe the S in CO is silicone as well. So when it comes to impact resistance, you're taking something that's a cobalt steel, I believe, is the COS part of those. Yeah. And then you're laminating with lateral stress of things as well.
And let's be perfectly honest. So Paul and I were talking about the reasonableness, I guess, of upgrading from his 01 to the 3V,
I just want to look at one thing real quick.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's a picture here of the butt ends of the handles, and you can see the side swell to them.
For the two we were just looking at?
Yeah. It's just a great example of just how different those handles are. It's farther down.
Yeah.
It was where you were just sitting, right?
It just takes a second to load on your end. Should go full screen in a second here.
There we go. Yeah. That's how much contouring is on
the palm swell.
That's actually a pretty significant difference. So I would almost argue that they were a more comfortable handle for chopping because of the swell as opposed to the addition of a choil.
For sure. Yeah. And I think they did give the edge to the modern Bowie for that, and they said specifically the wider handle. Now, Black Frost has a Jungless, and we also take it out with my Trailmaster. And I will actually admit, for chopping the Jungless, and same thing, the just fuller handle when you're going to town on stuff does have a little more bitey power. Not saying the Trailmaster is bad by any means, because I still don't have any problem going through things if I need to type of idea, right? But I will give the edge to the Jungless, and maybe part of that is the larger handle grip, right? So
it's got a little more meat towards the tip too, because it's not as clippy.
I can see that, yeah.
A little bit extra.
That's for sure. The Trailmaster does beat up a baton, that's for sure.
With that clippy, yeah.
So the Trailmaster might not be the right choice, but it's the right choice because it makes me feel like a cowboy, and you can't stop me from carrying it.
For an all-round knife, it's great. It's fantastic. I desperately want one. I will probably buy one in 3V because I don't have one at all yet. All I've got is my my Recon Scout.
Speaking of that, we should get back to that topic.
Sure am trying.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Like you're doing right now.
Yeah.
So after watching that video, like Dennis was saying, the fact that everything works so similarly, a little bit of an edge in chopping to the modern Bowie, a little bit of fine work advantage for the Trailmaster, but like functionally, they're basically identical. If I'm carrying this knife as like a solo knife, I'm carrying this and maybe a small neck knife. So this is doing all of my like large and medium-sized tasks. 3V seems like a great idea.
Yes.
But if I'm not doing that and I'm only using it to baton wood, then 01 is probably just fine.
And they even said in the video
about to buy a 3v1.
The reason
they said in the video about batoning, they said like that was one of their big topics. Is they were like, when it comes to batoning, these are both beasts. You could put whatever steel you wanted in these things, and they would both just edge geometry is like a goddamn hatchet, right?
It's
like
not wear resistant. Edge geometry at that point.
There's a big reason why I haven't taken anything other than my kukri anytime I go camping the last couple of years since I bought it. Really, look how thick the blade steel is on this thing. It's 01 tool steel. Sure, a 3V version would be cool. Sure, an 01 version of the Trailmaster would be cool, but
the big difference, though, Joe, and I own that same kukri and I've used it, but the big difference is you do not have an Appleseed grind on that kukri.
This is true.
No, I mean, honestly, if you were
true.
to Appleseed that like you were a Trailmaster, I'm right there with you. But my Trailmaster batons better than that kukri. Doesn't chop better, but it batons better than that kukri does.
I like chopping with this kukri, though.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what a kukri is made for, is choppy, right?
And that's
halfway there.
But that's why I think, for me, I wouldn't ever go for anything less than a 3V Trailmaster at this point, because I have the 01 kukri. It's just there's not as much point. And kind of on that note, if we're ready to lead away, because it is 8:10, I just quickly, and this could turn into its own conversation, or we could just be a quick footnote, but Cold Steel, over the past while, since the absorption into GSM, prices have gone up a little bit. Availability has gone down. If you're looking at the high-end stuff, like the 3V stuff, pricey is really good. And Paul posed the question to me today, which situation would you rather? A Cold Steel where they raise the prices in order to keep the same level of quality, or a Cold Steel where they lower they either keep the same prices, but the quality goes down? I think that was how you worded it, right? Yeah. And like, which situation would you rather? And like, ultimately, I want the better product, but if I wanted that company to survive, I personally thought they were already in a really good sweet spot. I thought that they really good bang for the buck. Nothing was produced under a factory owned by Cold Steel, so it's not like they had a lot of overhead that they were worried about. They're just worried about ordering the product and having it made to their specifications. But seeing what's been happening lately, I don't know. It's been making me feel some things. I
think a big thing with like maybe they don't own their own factories. Maybe that costs more. Maybe and Lynn Thompson, he said like the backing costs. And he said financial and backing, and he wasn't able to keep products on the shelf. You say they were in some sort of sweet spot. Well, maybe they weren't.
Well, right? How many ranches can one man own?
I just need to say to Dick Richards, no.
And redacted.
Yeah.
So
I missed that.
I don't know, Joe. I understand what you're saying for sure. And part of that for me, and maybe it was their downfall, but Cold Steel, whenever put under the microscope for quality of their products, I mean, they always had duds and like had to warranty, and they kind of had a shitty warranty or whatever. But as a general rule, when they got put under their microscope, they're like, we can't complain about these products. Like one in a million might come out bad, and that's going to be whatever, a thing for a thing, or even 1 in 10,000 or whatever. But it wasn't this giant sweeping, we've got a 57 Rockwell on 3V that we're not going to apologize about.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
they've always done so well, in my opinion, in terms of
my point of that was maybe their quality control was their downfall. And maybe the high quality control that Cold Steel supposedly had, blah, 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 maybe...
Oh, Dennis went away.
Oh, no.
Maybe... Did I? I'm still here with you guys.
And maybe is where you cut off.
Okay. Maybe that was their downfall, right? Maybe having too good of QC was something that they were paying for. And maybe to be more financially successful, you've got to Walmart your brand out.
Okay, but at the same time, think about...
right?
Yeah, and it's difficult to say without looking at the ledger for the company and seeing what the costs were, what they were selling for, what their margins were, for sure. But you look at what they were producing with the materials they were producing, where they were producing their product, and the quality overall that you would get, phenomenal. Like, they've always been a brand where they could compete with other companies using decent materials at usually like a 2/3 to a 3/4 of the price for something American made using the same materials. And especially recently, and maybe this was something done with Lynn Thompson knowing full well that he was going to sell the company in short order, but the switch to XHP and then using S35, that was a pretty major step that I think they took. But even if you look at the products using those materials...
that was one of the downfalls. Or that was one of their downfalls.
It could be,
but relying on XHP being a material and losing too much sales because they couldn't get enough materials, and by the time they switched to S35, maybe that was the beginning of the end. Who knows? These are all just theories, right? But I mean, again, like in a perfect world, and then Spydero go outbid them on XHP, and they're like, shit, they're a bigger fish in the pond. Type of,
just a little bit.
Who knows, right?
A little animosity.
Well, and it helps that Cold Steel also had some pretty easy to manufacture designs, right? Yeah. But like Triad Lock is a relatively easy thing for a company to manufacture, relatively speaking. So you figure they'd be saving money doing certain designs, but I don't know. I don't see it lasting the way things are going.
On top of all of that, there's another thing that concerns me, because they're not going up in price across the board. So their high-end stuff is going up.
So define
entry-level.
Define their higher end, like anything using S35 and up,
35,
or
things like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Something, say, $150, $200, S35, 3V, blah, blah, blah. They have a whole bunch of like new mini leather necks, 8CR, 13 MOV, $35. I'm concerned that things like that are going to sell a whole bunch because they're a cheap, easy knife for somebody to buy. Because, hey, that's kind of cool. I'll take that. $35? I don't have to worry about that. And they start getting the information that, hey, this is what people want, is a $35 knife. So why would we keep making those nice ones when I can just make a $35 knife and people will be happy with it?
But Cold Steel was never like the premium. They've had their premium models, but I don't know if I'd necessarily, especially in the pocket knife or even the fixed blade world, they had the premium models, but I wouldn't necessarily call them a premium brand.
No,
right?
But I want those premium models to stick around, is what I'm saying.
The premium models for sure, but also the mid-range stuff, like the SRK using SK5 for like what? 60 American?
When you say mid-range, you mean budget, right?
I mean mid-range for Cold Steel. I mean budget in any other context, yes.
The 416 stuff.
That's budget shit. I'm talking
there's a
mid-range. I'm talking
entry level.
Yeah. I'm talking like medium budget Cold Steel branded stuff. Specifically the SK5 steel fixed blades, those kinds of things. That's where I think Cold Steel really excels, and like as far as like bang for your buck quality of product, I think you can't get much better for that money. And they've nailed that for so many years, and it's weird standing on what feels like a precipice of like, this all could go to shit within the next 2 years. And good luck finding anything to replace that.
The reason I want to buy the 3V Trailmaster is because I might never get it.
That's part of the reason.
Just another comment from Dick Richards there. They were his favorite by far. Little heart officially broken. I'm trying to be optimistic about it and just kind of sitting back in the bleachers and watching what happens. I will be heartbroken myself if everything kind of takes more of a downturn. I've noticed some things that I haven't necessarily been happy with. But yeah, I am, I don't know, trying to be optimistic about what they can do.
Optimistic.
The only thing I would say that so far, the fact that they're still producing the higher end stuff, and higher end, again, relatively speaking, anything with S35, I'm going to consider higher end from Cold Steel. They're still making stuff like this. They're still making, and sure, the reason I bought this was not purely out of fear that I couldn't get it anymore, but that was a big part of it. The fact that they're still producing this stuff and making it available is a good sign for the time being, because there are people who are going to continue to buy it and use it, and hopefully that's enough to carry them through.
I want to buy the light.
I kind of want to buy the light too. I hate it. Like, I already own it in S35.
The what?
Oh, the 8015, the light version using AUS 10.
Yeah.
So upon learning that AUS 10 is basically the same thing as 154 CM in terms of performance, in terms of a properly heat treated VG10, looking at you, Spydero, I've kind of wanted one as well, but I don't know.
All right.
I want to play with Oz 10, and I am not resharpening my Chris, so
dude,
not getting good.
I've been kind of scared to resharpen that thing. I've thought about it a few times. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna keep stropping it until it doesn't cut anything anymore.
Of the knives that I have in my collection, that's my save queen.
I don't know. That's terrible. By the way, that's terrible. And you should forfeit all of your save queens for that comment.
Technically, his gold class isn't even a safe queen anymore, right?
No, like, I carried it.
That's just it.
2 days. But I took the clip off and swapped it out with a.
And I get what you're saying about like Oz 10 and whatever type of thing, but I mean, yeah, similar performance to a 154 CM, and that's cool, and a proper heat treated VG10, and that's cool too, type of thing, really, but.
For the prices they're offering, sure.
There's a whole bunch of stuff over here that I'm like, really? That's all right, cool.
Well, keep in mind,
I'll buy a penguin every once in a while. That's fancy.
Well,
I'll also buy Riot stuff, and Sebenza's on the way. And
I'm thinking of the Oz 10 as like the penguin.
Yeah. And if it tickles your fancy enough, then grab something. But it's not something with Oz 10. It's like, I'd like that knife, and it happens to have Oz 10, and it's a good price. And then I'm like, bang, okay, I'm in the business type of thing. And if it's an 8015 light, then cool. Yeah, that's fine. But I didn't like the S35 version enough to pay for it at that price. And I would have, because half the time, like the Boker Fragment, I'm like, wow, that's a cool knife. I wish they made a nicer version. It's usually like, oh, that's a cool knife. I wish they made a budget version. I personally don't work like that, right? Like it's
it's. So... I gotta say, like, if a design really connects with you, that's. I mean, again, the fact that I've considered buying a duplicate of this in Oz 10, if the Oz 10 version was the only one available, I would buy it. I would have it.
I have a love-hate relationship with the 8015.
Yeah, both of us have gotten some scars.
You love that it hates you?
A little bit.
It makes me sound like a masochist or something.
Well, no, you just, like, it's like this... ferret cornered in a corner, and it's just going to lash out if it needs to, type of thing, right? Like it's
Who's the ferret in the situation?
The 8015.
Okay.
Yes,
and I'm not a ferret.
It's gonna.
I'm not slinky enough to be a ferret.
You don't have that gallop quite correct type of like it's
Ferrets bouncing around are adorable. Though.
Anyway, it's I got one last thing we can end on if you want. It's a 5 to 10 minute conversation, probably.
Okay. Okay.
Joe, my friend, go to DLT Trading.
All right.
Do it.
Speaking of competitors, cuttingedgecutleryco.com. Not my fault. It's not my fault. This is a knife chat. I can't not talk about something in the knife community that's going to come up. All right, if you type in the word tough, but like Spydero, TUFF, just do a quick search.
Oh, fuck off.
Snap Diggy. Not Snap Diggity, just Diggy. You just Diggy a little bit. Yeah, that's happening.
Fuck you, Dennis.
For a man who has
3V.
No, this one, the new one's crew wear, and it doesn't have the cool stippling. I don't know what's on the frame lock side because this is literally the only picture I've seen of it so far. And there was another picture on, I believe, DLT's IG page, but it was also only the green side, and then some sort of coating on it. Looks
Dennis, I can almost guarantee that the lock bar is going to have the same dimpling. There's no way they would change the...
Well, we'll put a pin in that one, and then June 20th, July 20th.
Oh, Christ.
So, bading, yeah.
So your plan was to end the night by making me angry?
So I was gonna buy a Crewwear Bicarta fucking PM2, but that's not happening if I get one of these things, which is gonna be 3 times the price, I'm sure.
It's a monster, by the way, for the record. Like, look at the stock thickness on that. I don't even have to put my hand behind it.
Why do you think I'm interested? I've wanted your knife. I've wanted that fucking tub since you first showed it. I'm like, yeah, cool.
The fuller is the coolest fuller that's ever been on a knife.
Spydero made it like a folding.
It is the coolest fuller that has ever been on a pocket knife. At least I'll give you that. You know, like it's
Man, that's cool.
Anyway, and I don't even know. I sort of like hope to God at $315 it's titanium on the backside because I don't even know that. Like, it's, if it's a stainless steel frame lock, no dimpling green G10, and they're just like throw some Crewwear in there, we could have a like 3V bailout situation on our hands here if we're not careful.
Oh, and there's literally no other information about it. It's just this image.
I think there might be an IG on DLTs. I think there was one post, but I don't really think. I think it was basically the same thing that you're seeing here is this coming soon, bam, type of.
Part of the reason I like this knife so much is because of that fuller.
Yeah,
like the fuller
a well done fuller is pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, so I can't actually see the comments on this thing without signing in, and I'm not gonna do that. But I'm gonna.
I like them when they're neat.
Dude, this is a fucking bombshell you just leveled on me right now. Like,
well,
seriously,
it's what I do. It's what I do. I'm going to start with a Boker fragment.
Yeah, lull me into a false sense of security. And then just
a nice casual conversation here.
Just fuck me up at the end of an episode.
Nothing to see here.
Oh my god. Okay, there's literally no additional information. There's 109 comments. Surely there are some questions about what's going on, but there might be clarification. I'm not going through 109 comments.
Yeah.
Not right now.
No.
Here it does. Streamlined with dimpleless show and lock sides. No dimples, boys.
Oh, it does say that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Balls. That's not good.
It doesn't say if it's a stainless steel frame on the backside, though. So.
Okay. That doesn't necessarily just completely kill my enthusiasm, but I really wish they kept the dimples.
So if they're not actually speed holes, what are they?
Those are because they don't allow air to pass through. They're drag holes.
It slows that knife down. It's too fast, man. It's too fast.
Too fast, too choppy, too clean.
All they confirmed is that it's not dimpled. That maybe they did a different texture.
But the show.
I think you got high hopes, my friend. I think you got really high hopes on that one.
The show scale on this thing is completely flat, so I'm gonna assume that the backside is probably completely flat as well.
Well, I no longer want that knife. They ruined it.
So one of the other things that I was going to comment on, and we were talking about availability and Spydero having a boring catalog. They've re-released a blue sleesh. They've re-released a tough. Spydero is making some behind-the-scenes very clever choices while they're lulling on their actual products for 2021. And
okay, so from the standpoint
of anywhere, but you can get an M4 one.
In terms of supporting their dealers in the States, I get it, and this is a really smart move for them on their part. But it irks me to no end as a Canadian because I'm not willing.
Spydero does have a cross-border agreement. It's hard to get Spyderos into Canada from American retailers. Technically, there's some liability and stuff like that. Anyway, there's certain companies that are a little bit more uptight about cross-border stuff, and Spydero is one of them. So,
oh hey, I almost dropped a Trailmaster on my deck.
That's a good way to end the night.
Dropping a Trailmaster on my deck? No, thank you.
Like, well, that's a hospital trip. Have a good night, everybody. Yes.
Paul's like, can I sign off first?
I really gotta go.
It's like just a scene from Kill Bill all of a sudden.
the spatter, or that infomercial with the katana where the table is still there and he's just on
every time that
army crawling off of the stage. Yeah.
Every time that video pops up, I thoroughly enjoy it. Wax on the tables.
Yeah, dropping that bomb on you.
Yeah, more exclusives that I can't get as a Canadian. I'm super excited that you're sharing this with me.
Yeah. Secondary market, $3.15 American means 900 Canadian.
Yeah, sure. No. That's probably what this is. It's at least going to go for double.
It's not. No. The actual Spyderco Tough doesn't go for double what this is, so that it's not going to exceed the original Tough prices on the secondary market.
You don't think so for an exclusive with
no way, no way in hell it's going to make this knife more popular and it's going to make this knife go up in price.
They might go up together, but that one will still probably stay at the top of the.
I do not think the Grigi 10 one is going to be more desirable than the original one.
I just can't see myself. I can't see this being on eBay for less than $7.
We have a man that I would consider an expert in the field of buying a knife that's no longer being made, and how the price might change.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's still in chat, but.
Yeah. Well, and it's not model to model. Spyderco has some crazy inflation sometimes. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's one of them. But even the Sleesh didn't go for 6 or 7. It was going for $3 American, and even today, it's not in the price point that you're putting this thing at.
I guess the availability on this Sleesh was a lot better than this Tough will be. So okay, I guess that's not a fair comparison, but. You've got.
It says limit how many they made, and they doesn't say how many they made. So once they start floating out in the wild, we'll get an idea of limited edition. How many are they numbered on the blade? Who knows? The idea. Maybe they're not. Maybe on forums they'll say 600, 1,000, whatever type of thing, right? But
you need to make good friends with somebody in the States, Joe.
We might have a platform where we can reach out to.
You're not wrong, but I bought a sword today, man. I don't have.
I bought a sword,
man. Poor life choices.
Poor life choices. That should be the theme of tonight. That's for sure. I started with the Boker fragment, by the way. It's
the theme of the night is sometimes you buy a sword.
Yeah. So, anyway.
I guess
that's a good way to close.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've rambled on long enough.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for coming out. Yeah. Cutting Edge Cutlery Co. won't have this because it's a DLT exclusive. So, but yeah, keep an eye on the online only stuff. I mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, and we're working on it. We're trying to grow a little bit more. We've had better days, I think, in this world, but we're trying to come out of it on top. So, yeah.
It's all you can do is try, right?
I don't know exactly what that means, but yeah, sure.
I don't know, but you should spout some Instagram and Patreon stuff because I just plugged my company 3 times tonight. So,
yeah, go follow us on Patreon because we're neat.
Give us money.
Wow. We just got 3 unsubscribes off of that comment.
Yeah. No, but seriously, thank you to those of you who are subscribed and who are paying to see this ridiculous content. We like talking about this stuff.
Yeah. I think we're probably going to do a giveaway soon just for the hell of it. It's been a while since we've done one. I know, again, since COVID times. Blah, blah, blah type of thing, right? But just as an appreciation for everyone who comes out, whether it's a live one, whether it's an Instagram one. It won't be a Patreon one because we're not sucking people into actually subscribing to join. We did that once, and Fisk and Darren cleaned house. So, yeah. But I guess on that note, Instagram, I guess you need to plug a little bit too.
Follow us on Instagram at the Pokey Factor.
Yeah.
There's things that aren't happening over there that probably could.
We're going to be announcing some giveaway stuff because I just said that we're going to be. So, that's going to be a thing.
So you have that to look forward to, at least.
Well planned.
That's where they'll be announced, is over there.
Or here, for sure.
On
that note,
probably both.
All right, guys. I am who I am. I'm Dennis Vipers.
I am the Iron Joe.
And I'm XL.ca.
Thanks again for joining us, guys. Take care.
You know what?
My cue.
You know what also is good in brine? Beer.
Yes. Yes.
Briny.
Tastes like grapefruit.
Grapefruit's good in brine.